What's up guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development for INFJs and how to create an epic life on your terms. Today we're talking about the INFJ Phoenix rising from the ashes. So this is particularly interesting if you say now is the time for me to reach a new level, in particular if you've been in a deep black hole. And if you're doubting if this is the case for you right now, if you're unsure, you might be, you might not be, you're probably not. Because once you really take this on and you become this Phoenix yourself, this INFJ Phoenix, there is no doubt about it. You know for sure that you've reached another level because you have taken on a task, you've taken on a challenge you've never taken on before, and you had to dig deep down inside of you to find that strength in order to make it happen. But we as INFJs have to look at this from a very particular point of view. But once you do, it gives you a feeling like you never thought possible. And the best of all is that once you're able to make that jump, once you've proven to yourself that of course you have the strength, you've had it all along, you will have the confidence to go the next step and the next step after that. So this is what we're going to talk about today. Remember, if you want my help in this process, then work with me privately. All the information you find below. And if you want to join the next bootcamp, then sign up for the waiting list. So first of all, why is this concept so interesting for INFJs? We all know the story of the Phoenix that rises from the ashes, right? There's somebody who's really deep down in the black hole. They have nothing to give to themselves or to others because they have no energy left, and then they reach something that they've never reached before. That's the concept behind it. And it is particularly interesting for us INFJs because we can apply it to our vision, because that's what it's all about. The vision that we have, the NI concept that is in our mind and that we very often don't dare to take on. Because the thing we have to do, we've never done before, is we have to start new. We have to be complete beginners when we've created a comfort zone for ourselves. That means tapping into that vision and taking steps, taking SE, extroverted sensing steps that we've never taken on before. And once you do that, you will be a complete beginner. You will not have the comfort of looking good or looking comfortable or being the master of your actions. You will feel like a complete beginner. And once you do that, people will be able to judge you. And we as INFJs have the capacity to create an image of ourselves that makes us feel safe. And that doesn't mean that you have to be hugely successful in any kind of capacity. It can also be that you are an INFJ who feels like their life doesn't matter, who feels like you're just an observer, you're not happy with your life. Still, very often we've created this comfort zone in which we are barely able to be attacked. Or we feel like if I would go out more, if I would show more of myself, I would get attacked even more. Why is that? Well, on the one hand, we have the capacity of understanding others. So we understand what they would judge, we understand what they like, what they don't like, and we also understand how to act so we don't aggravate anybody. That is something that we're really good at. And because we're so good at it, it is the first choice. But the first choice isn't always the thing that makes us happy, not to an extent. This quality has many benefits, of course, but there are also downsides. And the downside is because we know what to do, we know how to protect ourselves, it's that much easier to create a comfort zone which we don't leave. And we on this channel, we always talk about the INFJ epic life. And this INFJ epic life is based on you feeling like your life matters. You feeling like you're having excitement in your life, that you're creating something you never thought possible. And once you do that, yes, there will be external results, of course. It will be that you can see it from the outside as well, but you won't care about that anymore. You will be so focused on creating the next step of your journey that you completely forget what's going on around you. And that's where the fun begins. That's where you feel completely alive. That's what I call the INFJ epic life. And that is the thing that made me start this channel and this entire journey, because it looked great on the outside, but I knew I wasn't tapping into that potential. I knew I wasn't rising from the ashes because I had that comfort zone. And that comfort zone was pretty good, but it wasn't enough. And that's what I'm here to tell you. If you feel like your life the way it is right now isn't enough, you know there's more to it. We have to be willing to start at zero. But we start at zero with all the knowledge we have gathered so far, all the ways you've learned how to master situations, all the knowledge and the experience of having been able to survive and to thrive in all those circumstances that you have been put in. Those circumstances might have been really hard, but you made it. You made it through. You overcame overcame them. And now is the time to say, I'm going to take on challenges over and over again, but they will happen under my control. It's not going to be that I stay in my comfort zone that long that at some point I just have to fight in order to survive. That is something that we do very often, right? I mean, it's not just INFJs who stay in their comfort zone. We all know people do this in general. That's our default mode, and we shouldn't ever be too harsh on ourselves for having done that. That's just normal if you're not really looking into personal development. And specifically for INFJs, we don't have that many role models or paths that we can see and we can emulate. So it can be rather hard. But our comfort zone is pretty particular because this comfort zone is mainly mindset stuff. It's about being open to breaking that off and to say, okay, I'm willing to be judged. I'm willing for people to see me from a perspective that isn't going to look nice. Like, I remember when I started this channel, everything changed because up until this point, I had this image of being cool. I had the image of being somebody who had their life together, who had this great job and all of that. But the moment I started talking here, first off, people said, okay, so she isn't that normal, because let's face it, it's not like these things that we talk about here are all that normal. It may be more acceptable now, but when I first started, this was completely esoteric stuff. So people saw, okay, so she's not like everybody else. She's not the person that I thought she was. Because this is what we do as INFJs. We are able to create this image where people can project onto us whatever they want. And please listen to this, because it might sound like, no, I'm not like that. I'm being so independent and I want myself to be different, and I'm not going to allow people to project onto me whatever they want. But that's part of being an observer. That's part of being an introvert. That's part of being an INFJ, because we stay back in order to understand others so well. In order to understand others, we have to remove a lot of our own energy. We have to allow others to really spark all their energy so we can pick up the pieces, so we can make an image out of that. And that doesn't work if you give so much of yourself. So there is a payoff here. So that's not to say that getting to a place where you want to understand people is a wrong thing. It's just do it out of control. Do it because you want to and not because you have no other choice. You want to understand people better, so you listen. But being able to listen does not mean that you cannot express who you are and what you want. But this, as again, comes at the price of I have to be a beginner. And so on top of all of that, that every person that I had a particular standing in at that time really changed their perception of me. And I'm talking about my closest friends to people who barely knew me. All of them changed their perception of me. I was willing to show parts of myself that I wasn't willing to show before, because I thought, okay, that's different. People are gonna judge me. And the Phoenix part comes from saying, I'm gonna stand strong within this. I'm going to dare to get myself into a bigger pond. Let's say you're a small fish in an aquarium, and now you say, okay, I'm gonna go into a bigger pond, or I'm gonna go into a bigger aquarium. I'm gonna master that. Your box, your worldview gets bigger and bigger by you saying, okay, I dare to take on something new. I dare to be bigger. I dare to have more social connections, because I have figured out how to use my energy in order to preserve it. I have figured out so far how to make it. So I'm going to be able to do it in the future as well. But this is the thing. You don't know this for sure. It's always about taking that jump, taking that leap of faith, knowing that, okay, I'm not doing that because I know it's going to work out. If you knew it was going to work out, it wouldn't feel so hard. It's about deciding that I will regret it for the rest of my life if I don't make that jump. I will regret it for the rest of my life if I haven't tried. And that can be from you taking on a new hobby. It can be from you taking on and sharing your thoughts on a particular project. It's about tapping into that vision of yours, your NI vision. And remember, this NI vision is barely ever the norm, because if it was, it wouldn't be a vision. A vision is defined by the fact that it's something that is not yet on this earth, right? I mean, it can exist somewhere, but it's not normal. It's not completely there. It's an idea you have in your mind, something that you could achieve, something that can be based on all the information you have gathered from your life so far. And once you tap into this, first off, it won't be perfect. It won't look like how it was in your head. So when I first started doing this channel, I was completely timid on video. I mean, look at those videos. Like my first ones, I talked so quietly. I was so unsure of myself. I didn't like how certain things looked, but it wasn't about creating that perfect video. It was about to say, okay, this is going to suck, And I'm going to do it anyway, because if I'm not willing to take on something where I'm a beginner, where it won't look great, I will never be able to aim for my vision, because there is a discrepancy. If you take on that SE step, it won't look anything like that NI vision. If you have a vision of creating a perfect image, like a painting or a photography or whatever it is, doesn't matter, just as an example. If you have that image, your first tries will look horrible and people will not see you for your NI vision. They will see that incomplete part of you, that beginner, and they will judge you based on that. And it's our task to know this, to anticipate this, and to say, I will stay above this, because I'm not doing this for how other people will see me. I'm not doing this because I want other people's respect for this, because I know they won't see the big picture. Nobody will see you the way you can be. People always underestimate you, and that's okay. Let them be, because you're making yourself proud for taking on that step. And once you do this, you see that you're able to master this as well. Maybe it will take longer than you expected. Maybe it won't be as perfect as you would have hoped, but you will have become bigger. And there will be no doubt in your mind that you have been that phoenix, that INFJ phoenix that has risen from the ashes. So look at your life, look at the vision, because I know you have it. I know how you want your life to be. And it's not just something like, I want to have that car, I want to have that much money, I want to be in this friendship group. It's more than that. It's about you tapping into something new and trusting your strength to make that work as well. It can even be something like saying, I want to have a bigger social circle. Not that I want thousands of friends, but right now I feel so isolated and I want to have deep connections with people, and in such a way where I can be myself. In order to do that, you have to tap into who you really are, being open and willing for people to judge you, and to have in the back of your mind that probably most of the people that you have gathered around you so far will judge you, because on a subconscious level, you've gathered them because they are mirroring back that you should be hiding those parts of yourself. All those parts that you have hidden so far, you believe should stay hidden. And I'm not just talking about you, I'm talking about all of us. We all have this, and often we're not even aware of what those parts are. But because we have those fears, because we want to stay in this comfort zone, we gather people around us who make it easy for us to stay in our comfort zone, who don't challenge our comfort zone. But I know you're different. I know that you want that INFJ epic life. And in order to have that, that's the way to go. It is still completely on your terms. It won't look like it looked for anybody else. My path will only be my path. Yes, you might also do a YouTube channel, but the things that really matter to you will never be the same as they are to me, because we're all different. We all have different qualities, different experiences, and different ways of seeing the world. But we as INFJs have that vision in common. It might be a different vision, of course, but we all have in common that we have a vision of how we could be, a vision of how life could be. And if you want to feel like you're having that moment, you know for sure that you're being that phoenix that rises up, that feels alive, that feels like, okay, I'm taking on my life and there's nobody who could ever tell me anything about me wasting my life, because I feel fully alive. If you want that, then it's about tapping into that vision and being okay with falling short to it, with knowing that it won't look like this, and to be willing to be judged for those things you do in the beginning. And the greatest thing about this is that once you've overcome this hurdle, once you were able to actually look that fear in the eye and to say, yes, I'm going to be judged. Yes, I'm not going to be good enough. It doesn't matter. It's about me showing up. It's about me choosing myself. It's about me deciding from now on, my path is the path I'm going to go. I'm not going to stand by and just look what others are doing. Once that first shock is over, once you are able and have taken in all the judgment, all the things that you were so afraid of, you are invincible to them. And then it's time to take on the bigger challenge, because that pond that you have now gone into, the bigger pond, you have mastered that. You have proven to yourself that you will make it, because every single time you take on a challenge, you are able to either win or you learn from it. And that in itself is a win already. You know what works, you know what doesn't work, and you know it that much more than you knew before. Before it was like, yeah, it could work out like this, but I don't exactly know. The moment you take it on, you have more information. And with that information, you have the strength to take on the next challenge and the next challenge and the next challenge. And thankfully, thankfully, we live in the 21st century. Thankfully, we and our individualistic selves are being accepted more and more. We see more and more people taking on paths that we haven't seen before. These paths, these examples allow us even more to take on our own road, because your road is something that doesn't exist in the world yet. How can it? You are a unique person. There is no way that somebody has done whatever you have in your mind. That image of how life could be never exists anywhere outside of you. And once you understand this, once you accept it and you stop looking for it and you say, I'm going to start creating this, knowing it's not going to work out right away. It's not about that. It's about the aim. You feel alive like never before. A little anecdote at this point that I always remember when it comes to rising from the ashes is that when I first came to Germany, I was, I think, 4 or 5 years old, and I hadn't learned how to swim. And then I came to school and I was 6 years old, and then we found out, okay, everybody else was able to swim. So I started learning to swim with the 3-year-olds as a 6-year-old. And once I learned how to swim, then I graduated to the next level. And then I was the 7-year-old that was swimming with the 4 and 5-year-olds. But I didn't let that stop me. I didn't say to myself, okay, how embarrassing, because the other 7-year-olds, they're in like 3 classes above me and they see me, how I swim with the 4-year-olds. I didn't let that stop me, because I knew I'm not going to rely on the fact that people judge me, that they say, oh, she's good or she's cool, which I could have let this way if I just didn't swim, right? People could pretend I'm going to a class somewhere else and it could have gone this way all the way. But I said, I don't care about this. I will be there and I will do my best. And I, before I knew it, was able to graduate and to get better and better. And I was in the group with kids that were even older than me, because I asked my teacher every single time, okay, what do I have to do in order to be able to get to the next level? And I worked on that. And I didn't let ridicule stop me at all. And this is the story I keep telling myself every single time when I have a challenge that I'm not sure I can take on because of the judgment. Never ever stop doing things because of the judgment, because you're not perfect, because you're not going to be perfect. It will suck. And the point is to do it anyways. I really hope that inspired you to take on that part of yourself that you're afraid of sharing and to create that INFJ epic life. Remember, if you want my help in this process, then work with me privately or sign up for the INFJ Bootcamp waiting list. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video on INFJ reframing. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I talk to you next time. Bye.